There's a very famous Sahabi. His name is Jabir bin Abdullah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and he used to say that Rasul Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to help me in ways, and I used to receive help from him in ways that I could not even foresee. It's a very interesting narration from him. He says that I was on an expedition with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and now note, Jabir bin Abdullah's parents had passed away and he had young sisters to look after, and he had sold most of his goods to try and make up the shortcomings in terms of income, and one of the few remaining things that he used to have was an old camel. So Jabir bin Abdullah is upon this camel and he's riding with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. As he's riding this camel, his expedition begins to be left further and further and further behind. His camel is further and further behind from the rest of the expedition. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is also upon an animal, either a camel or a horse, and Bilal is with him. Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu is traveling with him right behind him. So he turns the camel or the horse around and goes back to where the camel, the old camel of Jabir bin Abdullah is. He says to Jabir, "Oh Jabir," and again, this is the mafhum of the ahadith, not the exact words of the ahadith. "Jabir, what kind of friendship is this? What kind of companionship is this? I am so far ahead and you are so far behind me." Jabir bin Abdullah, he looks to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam apologetically, and he says, "Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this camel is old. It is not as strong as the faster and the stronger camels in Madina." So Rasulullah, one of his sunnahs was he used to carry a walking stick. So he takes his walking stick and lightly taps the back of this camel and says to the camel, "Go." And the camel takes off and it begins to overtake all of the other camels. All of a sudden, it even overtakes the camel of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Now, Rasulullah with Bilal upon his back is riding forward to catch up to Jabir bin Abdullah. And he says to Jabir as he grabs the reins of the camel in his hands, "Jabir, what kind of friendship is this? What kind of companionship is this? First you're all the way far behind and now you're all the way in front?" Jabir bin Abdullah, he says, "Ya Rasulullah, the camel has heard go from you. It will not listen to Jabir anymore." So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam makes the camel stop. As soon as it stops, he looks to Bilal and he says, "Oh Bilal, Jabir says this is the oldest and one of the slowest camels in Madina, but the camel has proven that it is one of the fastest and the strongest in Madina. Oh Bilal, I have fallen in love with this camel. I wish to purchase this camel." Jabir radiallahu ta'ala, he begins to think to himself, this is the only possession I own. I go to work upon this. If I sell this, I will have nothing. But the Nabi of Allah is asking. So he quickly says, "Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, may my parents be sacrificed upon you. I do not need anything from you. This is yours, Ya Rasulullah." Rasulullah, he says, "I am a Nabi of Haqq and Adl. How much do you want for this camel?" So Jabir bin Abdullah, he begins to think. He says, "Ya Rasulullah, 5 dinars are good." Rasulullah, he says, "You've given me the price of an old and sick camel, but you've proven this is a strong and fast camel. I will give you 10 dinars. He instructs Bilal to give Jabir bin Abdullah 10 dinars radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. He takes the 10 dinars and he says, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam to Jabir, "Give me this camel when we return back to Madina." He says, "Finally we get back to Madina. I now wash this camel. I put oud upon this camel. I make it perfect. It is a gift now to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. I go to Masjid al-Nabwi. I hand over the camel. I am now returning back when all of a sudden I hear Bilal calling out to me, 'Oh Jabir bin Abdullah, the Nabi of Allah calls upon you.' I come running back to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. 'Ya Rasulullah, you have called upon me.' He says, 'Oh Jabir, see this camel here? This is one of the fastest and the strongest in Madina.'" Jabir bin Abdullah begins to think to himself, this was my camel a few moments ago. What is Rasulullah getting at right now? So he says, "And Jabir, one of my most profound sunnahs is to give and receive gifts. So, oh Jabir, I give you this camel in gift." Jabir bin Abdullah, he says, "I am shocked and amazed. I receive help from Rasulullah in ways that I know not of. I not only received 10 dinars, but I received the same camel who has now been touched and tapped by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself." This was the akhlaq of our Nabi.